Greetings students. Here is our next exciting art project using simple ingredients from home. Now, letting you know right away, this lesson involves using a power drill. So I would say you need parental supervision for this one. If you are under the age of 18, you need to have an adult with you who can operate the power drill. Quite simply stated. So to do this lesson, you will need a power drill, and to use a power drill, you will need an adult, someone 18 years and older, and only they are allowed to use the power drill. There are other ways to do this, but for our purposes, I'm choosing to use the power drill. So let's see how we got to this point. So again, power drill. Before I even use the drill, I just take the battery out. You know, there is like a safety trigger to keep the trigger from firing, but just take the battery off. A little bit easier to start out that way. Paper plate, a little bit of clay. You can use sticky tack or even gum if you want to. Just some kind of moldable, tactile, sticky kind of material. And I'm just using, Crayola Magic Clay for this one. And then a good set of markers, permanent markers, just something that's got a lot of wet ink. Okay, so crayons may not work as well, colored pencils may not work as well, so just some really kind of wet ink kind of markers is what you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of wiggle the paper plate and poke it right through on the drill bit and just get it to set on that drill bit. And it's not going to sit on there very well. In fact, if you start the drill, the bit may spin and the plate won't spin. So the way we fix that, you can see my bit just kind of very gently sticking out through the paper plate, just like that. I'm just going to make 2 coils of the sticky tack or the clay or whatever kind of moldable, tactile, sticky stuff you got available. And I'm just going to kind of wrap that around each side of the plate, wrapping it around the drill bit. Okay, so you can see both sides. That's kind of reinforcing the connection between the drill and the paper plate. That's going to make it so that when the drill spins, the plate will spin with it. Now, for time's sake, I didn't let the clay dry, but if you want to do this the right way, you might let that clay dry. And if it gets dried to the point where you can't get it off the drill bit, just kind of tap it with a hammer and it should be able to break the clay off of it. But if you want to let the clay dry overnight and like really seal it onto that drill bit, that's totally up to you. If you want to make it a 2-day project. But I kept it just a 1-day project. So once I've got my clay on there, I put the battery in the drill and I spin the drill. And if I have my clay on there just right, it'll spin that paper plate. So now I'm going to start creating my spin art. So I'm going to spin that paper plate with the drill, and then I'm going to gently touch a marker to the paper plate and just kind of gently pull my way to the outside. And I'm going to repeat that process using different colors over and over and over again. And what's cool about using the paper plate is when you get to the outside edges, those ridges, your marker starts to kind of dance on it. And it leaves those really cool motion lines near the outside. And you can see here in the middle, you can see how my drill bit's kind of breaking away from that clay. So each time I spin and add a little more color to it, I may have to squeeze my clay or my sticky tack back into position, every time I do this, because every time it spins, it's going to loosen up that clay unless you let it dry overnight. But for my purposes, I had to keep kind of correcting the clay to make sure it stuck better. And I finished up with some black. I kind of wish I stopped here, but I went back in with some black and kind of did like a random back and forth while it was spinning, just to kind of add a little more weight and a little more texture. I'm not super disappointed in it, but I kind of wish I stayed with just the color. But no worries. And then I'm just going to take the paper plate off the drill bit. And we could look at this and say this is our finished piece, but what we've got now is kind of an open center, a white center with a hole in it. So what do we do about that? Well, simply what I did was I just took a pair of scissors, and what I did was I cut lines from the center to the outside, center to the outside, center to the outside, and I did that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 8 or 9, I think 8 times, yeah. Kind of like I'm cutting a piece of pizza. And I was going to cut out that center all the way, but what I noticed is when I kind of pushed my finger through the back of the plate, it kind of flanged open like that. Kind of looks like teeth, or like, I don't know, it just looked kind of cool. So I decided to keep that. So there's another picture, you can see it. So by cutting those lines like I'm cutting a pizza, you know, and I just push it from the back. It opens up kind of like a, I don't know, it kind of looks like a squid beak, something like that. But I like how that turned out, so I decided to keep it that way. So it's a little happy accident there. But now I've still got this hole in the middle, which we could leave it that way. But what I did was I just grabbed the second paper plate and I just added some color just in the middle of the plate as best I could, as dark as I could. Real simple, nothing too wild, nothing too out of the ordinary. And then I just added like a nice generous amount of glue around the outside of that second paper plate so that all I have to do is set my original paper plate just right on top of it. So now that hole is covered up. The second paper plate gives it a little more stability, a little more strength. And that ends up being our finished art piece. So using the spin art, using the drill, and spinning that paper plate, we're able to make these cool symmetrical color patterns. And then just by kind of flanging out the middle there's another better shot of it. Kind of looks like a sea urchin or something like that. It's got a lot of dynamic movement to it. So you know, this is a finished art piece right here, but even just that center part, how that turned out, that's a really cool work of art just in and of itself. So I know this one was a little tricky. It does require adult supervision, but I try to make these so that families can do them together. So this might be a good one to do with you know, with a guardian, with grandma, grandpa, aunt and uncle, mom and dad, big brother, big sister, whatever you got, whoever you got around you to help you out with this project. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Leave me any comments if you want to, and I will see you next time.